of Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namane Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayane Gaurakata Damadaya Nagaragramatarine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna and welcome to our Gita Connection. We're resuming. Last week there was a break. I was in Jagannath Puri and I had some realizations regarding this theme of material desires, how material desires gets in the way of our full surrender towards Krishna. Material desires gets in the way of our peace, our happiness, and our ultimate goals, and to achieve ultimate purpose of this life. Material desires can hamper our progress. If you have any questions, anything that comes to your mind as I'm sharing some things, you can just type it in the chat box and I can bring that up and discuss whatever questions that you might have. So, first of all, I want to highlight the point that the demigods, they are actually Sakama devotees. They are devotees of the Lord, but they are with desires. So therefore, they become demigods. They go into heavenly planets. And the pure devotees of the Lord, they are Nishkama devotees. Means they have no personal desires, no personal interests. So there's a huge distinction between these two types of devotees. Sakama devotees and Nishkama devotees. So beginning with the basic principle, both are devotees. Okay, so there's nothing wrong or like sinful about material desires, because even great demigods can have material desires and get fulfilled by going to heavenly planets. At the same time, the nature of material desires is such that in Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains how even if we go to higher planetary systems and we can get better food, better sleep, better sex life, better opulence, better kind of mind, it's more peaceful, it's more happy, all those things that we hanker for, like a better work environment, or not even like no work, all vacation environment, whatever it is that we can assume, imagine, fantasize, we are given with that in the Swarga or heavenly planets. Now, the problem is, however, even in the heavenly planets, because of the presence of material desires, a great demigod, opulent, he's got a form that is super attractive, doesn't experience old age, doesn't experience disease, okay? Wow, right? Doesn't have to go to work. He doesn't have a nasty boss. Nor does he have a wife that nags him. He can actually change women as he likes. Or if it's a woman, she can just change a man if he's not fulfilling her needs. She can just switch the guys. And it's not sinful in the heavenly planets. So on and so forth. Everything that we may materially hanker for and we may fantasize that may give us happiness, fulfillment, can be easily given by attaining higher planets. But the nature of material desires is such that even the demigods, he has this awesome body, super beautiful apsara, and he has a great airplane, and he has everything that we even only can imagine or cannot even imagine. He has more than that, but there's envy. there's jealousy, there's comparison. So the nature of material desires is such that the demigod looks at another demigod and says, whoa, he's got two apsaras, and one of them is more beautiful than mine. His airplane is bigger than mine, and his eyes are more charming than my own eyes, or whatever. The material desires are such. Whereas for a nishkama devotee, a devotee who doesn't have even time to think about my comforts, my desire, my sense of identity in this world, right? Often my husband says, like, don't work for Sri Radha Govinda Dasi, because when you go back home, back to God, and even you wouldn't know who is Sri Radha Govinda Dasi. Work for Krishna. So similarly, the Nishkama devotees are actually much more peaceful, because they are, as soon as they see somebody more opulent, Srimad Bhagavatam actually says, what should be the attitude if we see somebody superior to us? And what should be the attitude if we see somebody inferior to us? Gunadama tanukroshan, gunadikan mudam lipset. So Srimad Bhagavatam recommends us we must make discrimination, we must discriminate, we must make distinction and say, oh, this person is more advanced than me. And what's the attitude? We humble ourselves and we try to learn from that person or appreciate that person for their good qualities. And if somebody is less than us, we show compassion. And if somebody is equal to us, then we actually make friendship and we learn from them. Whereas when it is sakama, there's always like a competition. They want, like, I want what they have, right? And one thing I was observing in Jagannath Puri is also, there are the pandas, right? How many of you have been to Jagannath Puri? Just raise your hand. I know Ashka has been. I'm not sure if Malini has been. I think Taruni Radha must have visited Puri as well. Malini has been. Amazing. Okay, cool. And Ashka, I know she has been. Taruni Radha, I'm not sure. Yes, Taruni Radha also. Okay, great. Rukmini Priya, any chance? Have you been to Jagannath Puri?
Yes, Nataji, I have. Sorry, I'm using my phone. I can't figure out how to hands up, but yes, I have. Thank you.
That's okay. Great. So we have all been to Jagannath Puri, and there are the pujaris, right? The pandas who are family of Jagannath. So they are there, and their mindset is such that give the dakshina. Where's the Lakshmi, right? And I was studying the mindset. I actually, even one of the pandas wanted me to read their hand. So I ended up doing astrological reading for like a couple of pandas there. And I actually was trying to understand how their mind works. Initially, I was like, do they really even need this money? Some of these people have hotels. They built hotels and they make money and they get a lot of money. Some of them don't actually need that money. And some of them, they do need money. They do depend on it. So initially I was thinking maybe it's like a sport for them. It's not that they need the money, but it's more like maybe, oh, I got this person to give the donation, maybe like that. But actually I understood more and more the psychology that some of these people really, really need money. And another thing is also sometimes it feels really annoying the way they are like it feels like, why they're like so after me and not why they're so after money. But the truth is that Jagannath is seeing them as his family. So he's seeing them. We are also Jagannath's family. Let's not make a mistake there. We are too. But in your own temples, like in my house, my Jagannath, oh yeah, he's going to protect me and I belong to him. And he, there is a sense of, thank you, Ashka. Ashka is the one who brought Jagannath to my house from Puri. So in our own places, like Rajapur, I live in Simantadweep, Antardweep, Rajapur Jagannath, there is a relation I have with that specific Jagannath. So I am the family of Jagannath because I live here, I live in his land, right? So similarly, those who live in Puri and these pandas, especially who eat only, many of them eat only Jagannath Prasad. They're very austere in that regard. They may eat pan, they may even eat fish or whatever, right? But they're very, very dedicated to Jagannath. And so their material desires, Jagannath doesn't care about it. He only cares about bhakti. He only cares about their intention and their attachment towards him. And so I was learning a lot about how merciful Krishna is, how merciful, how patita pavana he is, that he can save any of us with any kind of useless, unnecessary material desires we might have, but it doesn't bother Krishna. The problem is we suffer from it. We suffer from those material desires. So this has been my train of thoughts these past few days, that Krishna is not bothered by our material desires, because he says, akama sarva kamova moksha kamo dharadi tivrena bhakti yogena. So for him, it doesn't matter if we approach him with material desires, with no material desires, with desire for, what was the other one? Akama sarva kamo moksha, and with the desire to attain liberation. Krishna doesn't actually mind, because we are his. We belong to him. Even these material desires are allowed by him. So yes, as much as we want to cultivate spiritual desires, as much as we want to be with devotees who have nishkama, those who perform nishkama bhakti yoga, they just perform devotional service without any tinge of personal motivation and desire. At the same time, it's very important for us to know that Krishna doesn't reject us because of our material desires. And so we shouldn't reject ourselves whenever we are stuck on certain level of needs and wants and desires. But yes, it's true that it can obstruct us, but sometimes Krishna does fulfill that desire, and we actually become more attached to Krishna and less attached to that particular material desire. Oh my God, it happens to me so many times. Like I'm having some particular desire in my mind and I don't want to express it, but Krishna obviously knows it. And then he fulfills it, but then he fulfills it in such a way that I become so attached to Krishna and less attached to the thing that I actually wanted. Some other times it's like I don't know if you can say transcendental material desire. I don't know if anything like that, but sometimes like I want to have Mahaprasad or something I'm thinking, then Krishna fulfills it immediately, because I'm feeling bored with eating like simple food at home. And I'm like, I wish I could get Jagannath Mahaprasad or Radha Madhava Mahaprasad, and somebody calls or somebody brings it in. So it's like, there, of course, is not a material desire as such, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like it may be for my personal interest, right? I want to eat different kinds of sabjis and Mahaprasadam taste. I want to enjoy that sense of taking that special mercy in the form of a variety of food, right? So it may not be like a totally unconditional thing, but Krishna is happy when we connect with him. Krishna is happy when we think about him. So that's why Rupa Goswami emphasizes, always remember Krishna and never forget him. One last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll discuss and take questions. Even the most difficult material desires that either we don't have the karma to enjoy, or it's not good for us, it's not good for our progress in material life. What's the third option? Or just Krishna doesn't want us to have it. When we think that, come on, it's very basic, everybody has it, why can't I have it? And maybe we do have the karma for it, but then something obstructs, and Krishna is like showing again and again, oh, this is not for you, don't focus on that. So either of the three reasons that we may not get it, we may not get the material desire, even those difficult circumstances, when we remember Lord Chaitanya and we hand over those desires to Lord Chaitanya and say, my dear Lord Chaitanya, I don't want this difficulty in my life. I don't want this material desire to obstruct my sense of identity, which is Chaitanya Radas Samui, Chaitanya Radas, Chaitanya Radas Samui, Tar Dasiradas. I am an eternal servant of Lord Chaitanya. And I'm the servant of Lord Chaitanya. That's my eternal identity. And if this material desire is bothering me or obstructing me, please, Mahaprabhu, take it away. Because when we remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the most difficult things becomes easy. But when we forget Lord Chaitanya, even the easiest things become difficult. Let me see. What was another point I wanted to make to summarize this point? Krishna always has a reason behind why he gives us something, or why he's not giving us something, or why he gives certain things in a certain way, or why he's not giving certain things due to certain reasons. He always has a plan. We just We just don't know the way. In Jagannath Puri, there are so many temples which have, every stone inside Jagannath Puri has a mystical story behind. I had this Sri Kshetra Parikrama book. And also Sri Kshetra Parikrama book, and also I had Sri Mandir, every pastime of every temple, every tree inside Jagannath Mandir, and it was like an exploration for me. And there are so many stories where the devotees had certain desire. It's not all of them were material desires. Like one of them had there was an old man, and he really wanted to visit Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri, and he couldn't because he was old. So he sat down on the stairs of Jagannath Mandir in the Simhadwar, and then he was just praying, I wish Jagannath can fulfill my desire. And then actually Mahadev appears next day, and he actually states how there is this 4 deities. You can actually see it's called Chari Dham. It's Jagannath, it's Gangotri, Yamunotri, Badrinath, and Kedarnath. You remember, there's a 4 dhams, and if you actually see those deities, you get the benefit of visiting all the 4 dhams. So that happened because of this devotee's desire. So the desire of a devotee is very important. The desire of the devotee, Krishna will never just take it away. He knows how to make best benefit of the bad bargain. So even if somebody's devotees have some desire, he'll make it in such a way that the rest of the humanity can benefit from it, and so on and so forth. Okay, Malini, do you have a raised hand for a question, or is it from the previous thing? I don't think.
Sorry, I just didn't put it down.
Oh, okay. So those are some points I have that I quickly wanted to express, but I'm eager to hear from you all. Maybe questions, maybe comments, maybe realizations on what to do with certain desires that we have that is blocking us. Is this like a nishkama phase where you have no questions about material desires? You're completely free of all material desires and you have just no questions about it. Still, you can share your realizations.
Hare Krishna, Mati. I was just appreciating how you're explaining, Krishna has a reason why he does it. He gives us things in a certain way, and why he might not, grant our wish. That is so true, for in my life I have experienced. So I just want to, appreciate, how you explain that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rukmini Priya. We only understand it much later. Initially, we don't actually understand why I'm not given something or why this is happening to me, but we understand it much later. And when we look back and we say, now I know why it happened that way. But, the point is you're very dear to Krishna. We're very dear to Krishna. And material desires cannot stop us. And, Durga, right? Durga means the fort. So Durga means the Durga Devi, who is Maya Devi. She actually protects the spiritual realm by creating a fort. And these fort is what, kind of gives us the slaps, right? Illusion of this material world, trying to go after some substitutes, trying to go and fix the hole in our heart, which is caused because of separation from Krishna. We try to fill that hole with things of this world. And then Maya Devi is kind of like helping us to go after those illusory things, right? In one sense, she's actually making us look away from Krishna. But then she always makes sure that she gives us such disappointment that that big one kick or the slap on the face will push us more closer to Krishna. So that's the thankless task of Maya Devi. That's what she does. Her way of pushing us towards Krishna, it's very mystical. You never know, when the kick is going to come, when the slap is going to come. Looks like everything is going on according to my plan. And if we think like that, there's some Durga Devi's hand there, Maya Devi's hand there. Because there's a bhajan I remember. It says, ಗರ್ವಿಷ್ಠರಾದ ಅಸುರರೆಂಬ ಕತ್ತಲೆಯನ್ನು ನಾಶಗೈಸುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಟುವಾದ ಮುಕ್ತರಿಂದಲೂ ಪೂಜಿಸಲ್ಪಡುವ ಪಾದಗಳುಳ್ಳ ಹರಿಯಾಂಕ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಾದ ದುರ್ಗಾದೇವಿಯು ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ರೋಗವಾದ ಕಾಮ ಕ್ರೋಧಾದಿ ಮೋಹಗಳನ್ನು ದೂರ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಂಗಳ ರೂಪವಾದ ಮೋಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತಾಳೆ. This is actually one of the primary functions of Mata Durga Devi. She actually destroys the demonic tendencies in us and destroys the demons in the world. And then the ignorance which is keeping us away from Krishna, she will make sure that she bursts the bubble of that ignorance and brings us to light. And how does she do it? She does it by Kama, Krodha, Mohadi, Kama, which is material desires, Krodha, the anger because of not getting the material desires fulfilled, and then the Moha, the illusion, the hope against hope, running after those substitutes again and again, even if we get kicked in our head or kick in our backside, wherever it's relevant, depending on the desire. Either of these situations, she actually Kama Krodhadi Moha ಗಳನ್ನು ದೂರ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಂಗಳ ರೂಪ. Okay, she makes sure that we go away from those, and the way she does it it's not necessarily the way we want. She has a plan to push us towards Krishna. We're always going towards Krishna. That's the point. Whether it's slowly or gradually or quickly or very strong progress, it's not so much dependent on us. It's not like by my sadhana I will go progress faster. It doesn't actually work like that. Somebody might be in so much Maya. I'm thinking of Bilvamangal Thakur, who was so much, all these things, Kama, Krodha, Moha, everything was there. Illusion was there. He was, like willing to do anything to get his material desires fulfilled. And he was in a very unstable state of mind. But then, Krishna can actually like that turn our life around. And he became a great devotee. So like that, Krishna can use any situation to defeat our pride and make us come closer to him. That's why it says Garvishtarada. Garvishta in that bhajan, it says pride. The pride to think I'm in control of my life, or pride to think that I know how my life should work. I know how to progress. I'm doing the right sadhana. I'm following the right people. I'm listening to the right classes, and I'm doing everything well. That can actually put us in illusion as well. So sometimes it's good to get that kick, so we wake up to reality.
Mataji, I had one question on how we can apply. You shared that, your Prabhu shared that you should do service, not as, Shri Radha Govinda, but for Krishna. So how do we apply that? Like in our mind, we do service and we think, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So how do we apply, say, Krishna, Lord, I'm doing this, seva for you and the devotees. How do we, like practically in our mind, apply that?
The first answer is it's by practice. It's not something that can happen overnight. It depends on how much we've been practicing this. In Tamoguna, if we've been mostly in Tamas Guna, thinking, I'm not good, whatever I do is not good enough. No, that's not the idea. The idea is not to like put ourselves down and to like negate the skills that Krishna has given us. That's not the idea. That's not the way for pleasing Krishna. What is that? It's said that humility, again, like I keep mixing the word, but correct me. Humility is not to put yourself down and think really low about yourself. Humility means you don't think too much about yourself, to think less about yourself and to think more about how will Krishna be pleased. And so that's like, Sattva Guna or Shuddha Sattva level of not being self-obsessed. Like in the mode of Rajas, we have to look and introspect. Why I'm bringing up Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is to see the answer to your question is very customizable. I can customize the answer depending on where we are. So depending on my habits, my nature, my tendencies, my attitude, if I've lived all my life as a Hindu, going after deities and demigods and using rituals and pujas to ask for my material desires to be fulfilled, and I keep doing these things saying, Krishna, I'm doing this, Lord Shiva, I'm doing this, Ganesha, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these things, so you should give me this, you should give me that. That's obviously in the mode of Rajas, right? It's like we're expecting something in return. And we are doing devotional activities, but what is the intent behind? So the intent could be tamas, it could be rajas, it could be sattva. So in rajas, and I'm just thinking, I'm doing this and God will give me this, right? This is usually a conditioning of Hindu mind. The Hindu mind, it's in our DNA, it's in our blood to be a little bit like that, like ritualistic, like the mentality of karma kanda, okay? Like I'll do this and God will give me this. So it's in our DNA. So it's not easy to get rid of it overnight. And that's why we need to study scriptures. We need to associate with devotees who are working on that path of developing Nishkama Bhakti Yoga, and to not get sucked into this kind of ritualistic thinking. Because, honestly, frankly speaking, if you look even within our organization, ISKCON movement, there are a lot of people who are just too attached to rituals. There are too many people who are just attached to the way things has to be done in this way. I am your authority, or somebody is your authority, and everything has to be done in a specific way. It's like kind of smarta rules and regulations focus. Is not so much focused on humility, compassion, putting Krishna in the center. I may put Krishna in the center in my words. I'm giving classes, and I'm saying Vedic words, and I'm saying Vedic shlokas and everything, and I'm putting myself in the center. Hey, you should listen to me, because I know these scriptures. And I am Hindu and I'm Indian. I mean, we will not say Hindu, we'll say I am Vedic, right? And by the way, anything Indian is not Vedic. We tend to think that Indian conditioning is Vedic, but it's not. It's only just a conditioning, just like Western conditioning. So the Indian conditioning is somewhere there is this, as soon as somebody gets a little power, and we're given a little power, that's when you can see how humble we are. And it's very difficult for Indians. When you give a little power to Indians, they become all puffed up. Even a guard, a guard in some little temple or somewhere, anywhere, ATM machine guard or something. He's, as soon as there's a little queue, he wants to come and boss around and say, hey, don't come here, stand there. Immediately there's an Ishwara Bhava that comes whenever there's power. So that can also follow us, frankly. Honestly, if we look at it within our organization, we're all sick, okay, to different degrees. We're all sick with false ego, pride, and whatnot. So me, mine, that sense of false identity. So what happens is we just, instead of like all these years, maybe I'm holding the mask of I'm a lawyer, or I'm a doctor, or whatever. And then when I become a devotee, I start saying, oh, you know what? I have studied scriptures and I know Bhagavad Gita, and you should listen to me, and my guru is good, and the person I have, it becomes like that subtly. We're not saying it out loud, but the mentality becomes, we shift from our material qualification to what we think is a spiritual qualification. But actually, the way to, one of the ways is knowledge. We should study scriptures under those people who have those qualities of compassion, of humility, of honesty, of introspection. And then when we study scriptures from those people who are like-minded, or those we want to follow, then slowly we start looking at our anarthas. And it's not easy. Rukmini, Priya, it's already a great achievement that you're even asking that question. Like, how do I recognize it? What do I do about it? Most people don't even want to know. They want to be in denial. Like I said, it's actually very easy to shift from study, earn, do karma kandiya things and get benefits, to chant, go to the temple, do deity worship. We can replace devotional activities with mundane activities, but still carry the same consciousness of wanting something personal for ourselves, me, mine, my people. I have seen this so much, especially Indian conditioning is more. We are somewhat insecure about our sense of leadership or something, maybe, as Indian body-blooded people. Westerners, not so much I have seen, that's not so much their problem. Sense, Prabhupada said this, that sensual weakness is more Western people problem. And whereas Indian people, they have problem with power and money, that's kind of their problem. They get a little bit obsessed with like wanting to be powerful, wanting to be the leader, wanting to be the center, like that. So also Western people can have that, I want to be the center, but their way of being in centers, they want to enjoy. Indians are very austere. In general, if you look at Indian, even sannyasis or gurus or leaders, there's not so much of like that kind of sensual fall down. But among the Indian people, there can be a lot of misuse of power, misleading people, all those kind of things are much more common. So why I'm bringing that up is because we have cultural conditioning. We cannot deny that fact. So we need to look at ourselves, introspect, and see, if I want to change, I must acknowledge where I am. I must acknowledge if sattva is prominent in my behavior, or rajas is prominent in my behavior, or tamas. And it's not an overnight thing. That's why we have sangha support groups where we can reveal our minds in confidence. We can hear from each other. I benefit immensely when I hear devotees opening their hearts, their minds, and sharing their realizations. It's really humbling. So it's the answer is very kind of, it's customizable. How you can shift is by acknowledging awareness, willingness, honesty. I mean, before willingness also comes honesty. Awareness, between awareness and awareness and willingness comes honesty. Honesty about where I am, and am I really, how much willing am I? I mean, in my case, sometimes I'm aware of the passionate things that my mind wants. I'm very aware. I'm not always willing. I'm not always willing to give up control and let Krishna take care. Sometimes I'm obsessing over that, like thinking addiction, like keep thinking about, maybe I should have said like that. Maybe I should try to message like this and try to fix the situation in this way. So there's still like the control, the complete willingness is not there. Even though there may be honesty. See, that's why honesty is the key here. If I'm really honest, I will be able to admit in a given circumstance that I'm not really willing to let Krishna in yet. And it's okay. It's okay. At the moment, I'm not able to let completely Krishna. I'm still giving power to my mind and my anger and my lust and whatever it is. So honesty is very important to come to that point of willingness to see where I am, my willingness to how much do I really want to change. And then, of course, comes after willingness comes the surrender. Once I'm willing to surrender, then after that, the surrender comes to say, Krishna, you take over. Your will, not mine, to be done. So it doesn't matter if we are not stuck. You're not stuck in sattva, rajas, nor tamas. You're not, because Krishna can get us out from there. But these three things of honesty and willingness and letting go, it's very important. I usually struggle with the third part of letting go. Awareness. Yeah, I mean, like in Puri, I had some purification. The monkey attacked me and took away my phone and my money and everything. So that was like purification. And then next day, after that, after a couple of days, again in Jagannath Mandir, again, like a bunch of monkeys attacked me. They started pulling my sari. And usually it's not even what people hear. But then I sat down and I started to meditate and see what Krishna is telling me through that. So again, I kind of got stuck in I was aware of what Krishna was telling me. There are a couple of areas in my life where I'm focusing I should not be. And it's like, the way the monkey attacked me, whatever happened, it was like a very mystical way. And I understood that Krishna is trying to warn me, because there was this huge monkey, his hands were like right like that. And in 1 second, he would have, I don't know what, plucked my eyes, scratched my face. I don't know what could have happened. And my husband immediately just screamed, and to look at my husband, I did that, and the monkey only got my back of the head. So like that, there were all these episodes, and then I was trying to like do this, honesty, willingness, and surrender and openness to let Krishna in. And I was always having problem with that, the deeper thing of letting Krishna in, because it's a practice, and I've been like 4 or 5 years at it, like this thing about honesty, being authentic with Krishna, with myself, about my anarthas, about my weakness, and then willingness. I really want Krishna's help. I want to let Krishna in, but then that letting go of my control is where I usually get stuck. So it's a practice. So what I do is journal, talk, like every day I have like a couple of people that I connect with. We call it outreach. So I do like outreach call to share this, where I am and how I can move to the next step. And then, journaling helps me to clarify my thoughts. Talking with somebody open-minded and like-minded, sorry, not open-minded, like-minded, helps me, somebody who's also in the similar goal path, like that. And taking shelter of the scriptures and holy name, that's what keeps the, even if I'm not completely letting Krishna in, still taking shelter of the holy name, taking shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, eventually, slowly, the medicine will work. It'll work. So it's practice. I cannot tell that it's one thing that if you do every time it works. Sometimes it may not work because Krishna wants to churn something more in us. Is that helpful?
Very, very helpful. It's very detailed, and those points about openness, willingness, is very, very helpful, those points.
I also do something called inventory. It's tough. It's tough, but it helps. So this is an inventory, like every time I feel stuck, every time I feel confused, I do this thing, like, what is the emotion? For example, if my emotion is anger, and then I write down the emotion, anger, and it's a 5-column work. You write down 5 columns. First column is the emotion. What am I feeling that is obstructing my connection to Krishna, obstructing my love for Krishna? What are the material? Anger is obviously material, right? So what is it? Anger. Then the second thing is, who am I angry upon? And let's say my husband, usually is the case. So anger, husband. Now, why am I angry, right? Why am I angry? Because he could have been more cooperative during the parikrama, and I had to manage everything, and everything was on my head, and I was feeling frustrated and like that. Okay. And then the fourth thing is, what is my responsibility in it? What is my part in this story? That's the hardest to do, because usually it depends again on our attitude and pattern. Like, for example, if I'm in tamas, I have had my ups and downs, and some phases of my life have been more in tamas, some more in rajas, some more mixture of sattva and rajas. So it's been mixtures, okay? It's never pure. Gunas are never like one thing. They're always like mixed. So I was saying, in tamas, people usually get stuck in, I'm feeling angry with my husband, and that's like, they keep being angry with the husband and feeling really disgusted with it and feeling horrible about it, and they just get stuck there. They don't move to the phases of why. How does it affect you? Why are you angry? How is that? Why is that behavior of the person? How is it influencing you and your sense of being? And then the fourth one, that sometimes people get stuck even there. Because of him, I've developed lack of self-worth, and I have developed a sense of lack of confidence, and I always feel like put down, and like whatever, however it really affects. I always feel like I'm doing always something wrong. You always get whatever. I'm just giving it like a random the tamas and rajas mixture of it's always his fault, but then he actually blames me, and it's not really fair. It really affects my sense of I can't chant my rounds properly because he's always blaming me. Rajas, tamas people get stuck there. And then it requires a huge amount of sattva to come to the phase of looking and saying, okay, it does affect me in this way, but how am I responsible? Okay, I didn't chant my rounds in the morning because I had to take care of the group and do A, B, and C. But then, what I may be missing, the fourth column requires honesty again. And then I might say, well, last night I was like, chatting up too much and I went to sleep late, and I actually woke up late. And so my husband had finished my rounds, and when I woke up, I had to take care of the duties, and I actually didn't chant my rounds. So as much as he didn't help, but there's also my part in it. I wasted time, or I didn't wake up in time. Obviously, here I'm giving random examples. You do your homework to see what is your part in whatever the story is. Then the fifth column that requires Shuddha Sattva. Not really, actually, just requires a little bit of Sattva. The fifth column is to see what can I do to keep my side of the street clean, and what actions I can take to protect myself from this kind of feeling pulled down or feeling angry or whatever the emotion is. Sometimes we may feel depressed, sometimes we may feel angry, sometimes we may feel a lot of material desires, whatever it is. So this inventory includes what I do is something I learned from different places, but it definitely supports very much the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. I kind of edited and made it more Bhagavatam based. So these are the 4 things in my inventory every day. Has my day been free of resentment? Has my day been free of fear? Dishonesty. Have I been honest, and have I avoided being dishonest? So what was the 4th one? Fear. Okay, resentment, fear. Resentment, fear, honesty, and selfishness. So the 4th one is selfishness. Have I been selfless today? So the idea is how I know if I'm aligned to God's will is I should be free from these 4 things. If it's a tough, I'll be very frank. I don't know where it is. I could show you that book that I have that I write down. It's not here. It's upstairs. Sorry. It's in my bedroom. I write it before going to sleep. It's next to my bed. So it's a book that I have that every page I write the date, and then I write resentment, fear, dishonesty, selfishness. And then I say if that has been free. In the last 4 years, maybe there has only been like 2 or 3 days that I left. I said, yes, I have been free from resentment, no fear, no selfishness, no dishonesty. Or I have been honest, fearless, selfless, and no resentment, like yeah, whatever that is. So it's not easy. It's not easy to actually completely feel an alignment. So it's hard. It's hard, and I've been doing that. And it gets better. Some days is like I have all of them, and some days I have less. But it's like I'm doing with one of my mentors. I submit this, and then if it's a tough day, and I have had many of this, then we discuss and see what I can do better with my day, with my schedule, with my behavior, with my communication, to reduce resentment, to reduce fear, to reduce inauthenticity and dishonesty, and to reduce selfishness. What kind of service can I be engaged in to free myself? So like that, it takes time. It takes, because we cultivated these bad habits. How many years it took us? How old, how old is the youngest one here? 20 something, 25, 28, whatever. Huh? So you took 25 years to cultivate a habit. At least it's going to take another 25 years to get free from that. If we're lucky, or 25 lifetimes. So it's not an easy thing. We cannot just get rid of it. But if we trust the Lord and we just say, Krishna, you help me. I am not in control. It's your thing, but I'll do my homework, but you help me. And that's the way. So we can't just, I'll give you this very important principle. There were so many sages and saints who wanted to get rid of their material desires. They ran away from the world. They went to Himalayas. They started to do tapasya and chanting. There were so many rishis and munis, great saints, great sages who did that. One of them, I'm not going to get too much into stories here, but to give an example, one of them, he went and he did so much tapasya and everything. Then he was there sitting in the water, and then suddenly opened his eyes and he saw two fish mating. That's it. Oh, the tapasya of years and years and hundreds of years. Those munis live for hundreds of years. Just got immediately out of the, what do you say? All that determination to remain free from material desires, it started to actually fade away, and he immediately developed desire to get married. And then from doing all these austerities he ended up marrying 100 wives. He actually went, and then the king said, oh, none of my daughters are going to marry you. They're all princesses and you look like, oh my God, scary. And he actually said, the king said, whichever daughter wants to marry you, I'll give my daughter to you. And obviously he's a saint with mystic powers, right? For what purpose did he do all those austerities? So all those austerities gave him mystical powers to appear as a super handsome man. And guess what happened? Out of the 100 girls, the king thought nobody will choose him. Actually, all the 100 of them wanted to marry him. So he got married, and then the whole Grasta life with 100 wives started and whatnot. So what I'm trying to say is so much history is there, with people failing in their attempts to get free from material desires. That is not our path. Our path is, even through the material desires, I want to reach Krishna. My goal is not to give up material desires. My goal is to go to Krishna. And if the desire is bothering us, we go to Krishna and say, please help me. If we have a desire that we can't overcome, we say, Krishna, please help me. So we do not become controllers again, because even the yogic process and austerity, it's so much based on our strength, on our willpower. But Bhakti Yoga, the whole point of Bhakti Yoga is to let Krishna, okay, I'm filled with anarthas, I'm struggling with some area. Who says you're not supposed to struggle? Who says that it's supposed to be easy? Why? Because I want to enjoy it, should not be difficult? Like that. So we have to question, we have to train the mind, which is like a child, which is thinking that things I have to overcome, difficulties quickly. Tomorrow itself, I have to become like pure devotee. Why you want to become pure devotee tomorrow? Because you're going to feel good about it. Then it's about you. It's not anymore Nishkama Bhakti Yoga. So Nishkama basically means Aslishya va padratam pinastuma madarshanam marmahatam karotva yatha tata vidato. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, whether you accept me, you reject me, you hug me, you crush me by hugging, you leave me, whatever it is that you want to do, my Lord, I'm yours. So that sense of willingness to let the Lord lead our way. The purification is happening. There must be Krishna's plan to have that faith. We are given with happiness. We accept gracefully and thank Krishna for it. But yeah, we don't become slaves of the material desires. We know that these material desires are what is this? It'll come today, it will go. It's like a river flowing with the leaves and things that's flowing with the river. Like that, the mind has all these desires that come today and tomorrow it's gone. But it's also not our goal to just work on material desires. The goal is to work on Krishna. So even whenever we do that, whenever I do the inventory about resentment, fear, anger, all this kind of stuff, the idea is to see, did I let Krishna in those circumstances, and what I can do to let Krishna in. So the point is more about letting the Lord take control, allowing the Lord, like believing that the Lord has the power to fix me. And it takes as long as it takes. It's not in our hands, it's up to Krishna. Patience, utsahan, nishchaya, dhairyat. Dhairyat, that's the most difficult one, at least for me. Enthusiasm, cool, yeah, I can be all the time optimistic. Nishchayat, determination, oh yeah, that too. If I want something, I'll stop sleeping, stop eating, and I want it, I'll get it. You know, like, I mean, it depends. For some of us, each of that may be harder. Then dhairyat, that's a tough one for me, to be patient. What's that? They say, there's a Russian proverb. It's like, dear God, please give me patience right now. Like that.
Yeah, this I don't want to take up all the questions, but your inventory list of I'm thinking of an acronym like EWWW, like E. So that's like something I was praying for. Like I was praying, to the Lord to give me some guidance how to handle when I get triggered. So that's literally how I've been praying. How do I handle, when my husband triggers me or I get triggered at work? So this is so helpful that I will try to apply it. So it's E, emotion, is, what is it? It's, anger, is it, whatever. And then who's doing it? Why? What to do? So this is so
What?
helpful.
Yeah, I can write it here. I can write it in the chat box. Okay. What? How is that? When I say how is it affecting you, it means your sense of identity, maybe your finances, maybe sex life, maybe other health related things, whatever. How is that affecting you? And then what's your part in it? Because there's always our part in it. And then what can I do to keep my side of the road clean? I mean, it's an expression I say, okay? I think you can understand. When I say, actually, there's a whole, I don't know if some of you have it, but there's a whole inventory list. I can send it in the group. And if anybody wants to do this in the Krishna Connection itself, we can have people that, some of you can send it to me, you can send it to somebody else. You can do this inventory sending to somebody thing. It helps me so much, this accountability, because if it's on my own, I'll not do it. But because I have to like report to somebody, the person will ask me. So then I do the homework, I do it. I don't have to report every day now. And initially I had to, but now every week I have to say if I did it for the week, like that. 4 years I've been doing that. And like I said, it's very rare that I felt completely selfless and completely free from fear and all that. Oh, one thing, what Rukmini was saying, see, when we are sometimes we, as Hindu conditioning again, we separate our religious life with our life. Sometimes like we go and say Jai Jagannath, and we offer flowers and we offer lamp and everything, and the crowd is so much, and it's like, I want to go home, I want to go back to my life. Jai Jagannath, you please be here, happy in your Vaikuntha Dham. I'm going to my hotel room or wherever home. So the idea is so much like my life. my bhakti. But actually, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, our philosophy, our Siddhanta, it's so helpful because actually it's not separate. Your bhakti is your life and your life is bhakti. Therefore, it becomes even harder. Normal Hindus, ritual people, they go to temple, they do nice things, morning they do a little, what do you say, turning the agarbatti or something. And the rest of the day, they do whatever nonsense they want to do, right? And then even in the Christian concept, they do whatever they want to do over the week, and then the weekend they go and confess and they want to like be cleared of sins. It's like that karma kandiya thing, right? But the truth is, not that I'm going in the altar and keeping nice flowers and chanting nice mantras, but then I'm going and telling bad things to my husband, or becoming angry or upset or feeling resentment, right? Then there is something wrong. We're not able to like integrate our life with our devotion. We cannot live in disharmony with people in our lives and advance spiritually. You cannot expect that. No amount of rounds we chant, no amount of scriptures we read, if we don't change our character, if we don't work on our character defects, then we're not actually spiritually progressing. So this question, Rukmini Priya, is so important, so relevant, and so sincere to want to like progress. How do I progress? How do I know how I can progress? What do I need to do? It's a very sincere inquiry, and the answer will not come at once. No, it will come as puzzle pieces. One day, one thing will come, and then after a few months, something else will come. And then after a while, when Krishna wants, that puzzle piece completes. And then we know that, this is my weakness, this is my anartha, this is my character defect. Like that. It's a gradual process. Utsaha nischaya dhairyat. So stay enthusiastic, stay determined to progress, and be patient. No
Beautiful.
problem.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Taruni.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was such a beautiful, beautiful class, so relevant to what was happening with me and during the memorial weekend. So it was so beautiful. I remember Rukmini Priya coming and bumping and telling me, you're my buddy. And you know what you're doing? You're literally like, you're like screaming at your husband. Do you realize it? And I'm like, oh, really? And I didn't realize that. We had traveled and gone. I mean, it was like a 4-5 hours journey, whatever, to Gitanagari. My son had got ear infection, and the whole night he was like up. He was like, he was like, Mama, please. I did not sleep the whole night, and I had signed up for some cooking service for Guru Maharaj at like 9, and then it had to be ready by 12. And then my husband had service on Sunday, and I was supposed to do it on Saturday. And then I told him, see, Saturday I'll be doing it. You take care of Gaura. Just make sure he eats. The whole time it's just I who feed him. But then for these rare instances, I ask him, I request him couple times, And then what was he doing? The next day he had idli batter to be done, and he's sitting and doing the idli